Welcome in everybody to another episode of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB Zack Brown. A champion has been crowned in the IndyCar Series. The Southern 500 lit up the night. Bunch of awesome dirt racing this past week with World of Outlaws and All-Stars. So let's get into it. First thing I want to touch on, usually I touch on NASCAR right away, but I've got to make sure I mention this to start off. Congratulations to Alex Palou winning the 2023 IndyCar Championship after getting the win at Portland. He was definitely the best car and best driver all year long, the most consistent, well-deserving championship. I know it's been a long journey for him. So congrats to him and that entire team. And so really going into the WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, it doesn't really matter right now. Now it's just all for fun. But again, congrats to Alex Palou, the 2023 IndyCar champion. And I want to mention the Southern 500 first. Obviously, it's no secret that I am a big-time Kyle Larson fan. So, seeing Larson finally get this crown jewel race was just incredible to see. I've been waiting to see him get that dang win at Darlington for so long. I've been to the Southern 500 where he fell short, and I've seen so many different ones. He's finished second there 3 different times. You could see the emotion, the excitement that he had winning that race. Really, the fastest car all night was Denny Hamlin. And then he had the issue that he thought there was a loose tire. So he had to bring it in. The crew was like, hey, we don't have any indication that the thing was loose. And Denny's like, no, it was loose, I promise you. So either way, that mistake cost him that race and came down to Larson and Reddick. And I have never seen so much impressive driving that close to the wall between 2 different drivers without just obliterating their car and the wall itself. Everybody earned their Darlington stripe, of course, but the impressive thing was how those guys were able to stay that close to the wall without hitting and stay fast the entire time. Larson said it after the race. He's like, yeah, I can do that because I'm confident that these cars will hold up if they hit the wall. So at least they got that. At least that's a good thing to see. Just awesome. Larson starts off right, moves into the round of 12, and now he can take chances at Kansas and Bristol, especially Bristol. You go into Bristol week and not having to worry about getting a win or being nervous that you get wrecked and you get crashed out of points or something. That's a big deal. So, winning the Southern 500 itself is amazing, and then knowing that you can go into Bristol and just leave everything on the table and have nothing to worry about and just go for that win, that's a big deal too. A lot of drivers that were in the top 10 I didn't really expect to be there. So a lot of impressive racing in the Southern 500. I was very impressed with Carson Hocevar, who was filling in the 42 car. Finished another top 20 in the 17th position, so hats off to him. But going to Kansas, it's really anybody's race. And we'll talk about it later. We'll go into our picks when we go into Crew Chief Corner with my dad, Jeff Brown. But yeah, congrats to Kyle Larson and winning the Southern 500. The Xfinity race, they didn't catch much of it, but yes, Denny Hamlin won, and I was thinking for a while Denny Hamlin was going to have a sweep that weekend. He just knows how to get around Darlington and these mile-and-a-half tracks overall. He knows how to save the tires when he needs to, and he was just the best car in the Xfinity race, hands down. Moving on to NHRA action. The standings have been set. The race for the championship is on now. Starts next week at Maple Grove. But here are the top fuel drivers going into the championship. There's 10 drivers. So you've got, and congrats to Antron Brown getting the win on this last Top Fuel race. But Justin Ashley, number 1 seed. Steve Torrance is the 2nd seed. Antron is 3rd. Brittany Forrest, Leah Pruitt, Austin Prock, Mike Salinas, Doug Coletta, Clay Milliken, and Josh Hart are your 10 drivers in the race for the championship. The funny car drivers, the ones that locked it in. Ron Capps getting the win in the U.S. Nationals. You got Ron Capps as the number 1. Matt Hagan, Robert Height, Bob Tasca, Chad Green, Alexis DeJoria, Tim Wilkerson, J.R. Todd, John Force, and Cruz Pedregon. Those are your drivers in that championship and racing for that. Pro Stock. You got Dallas Glenn, Matt Hartford, Derek Kramer, Troy Coughlin Jr., Erica Enders, Greg Anderson, Aaron Stanfield, Camry Caruso, Kyle Koretsky, and Christian Quadra. And those are your drivers for the Pro Stocks. And Pro Stock Motorcycles, you take a guess who's in number 1. Gage Herrera. And then you got Hector Arana Jr., Eddie Craywick, Matt Smith, Angie Smith, Steve Johnson, Chase Van Sant, Mark Ingerson, Gianna Evaristo, and Kelly Klontz. Those are your drivers racing for the championship. All right. Well, moving on to the recapping the All-Star Circuit of Champions. Another great couple nights of racing. At Attica. Attica just puts on such great events. So the first night, Kerry Madsen gets the big-time win. He had a perfect night the entire night. Kind of refreshing to see someone else besides Tyler Courtney or Zeb Wise get a win in the All-Stars. So congrats to Kerry Madsen, the Madman, coming up strong there. But going back to one of the drivers who wins it all the time, Zeb Wise gets the actual Attica Ambush big purse, $12,000 win on night 2. So congrats to Zeb. Pretty much is going to lock up the Drivers' Championship, but the Owners' Championship for $80,000 is wide open between him and Sunshine Tyler Courtney. Now the World of Outlaws. Racing out west, and they're going to stay out west this week, but 3 great nights of racing at Skagit. I really enjoyed that track. That's a really, really neat track. If you haven't seen it, go to the World of Outlaws YouTube channel. Check out those highlights. Just a lot of fun action there. The first night, Sheldon Hodenshield gets a win for his birthday. So it's a big win for him. So happy birthday to Sheldon. The second night, Rico Abreu. So not an outlaw. Gets another big win this year. Having a tremendous year. In the third night, the big purse night, the big cat comes through finally after a long time waiting, after a few weeks, gets a win. It's been, when was his last win? It's been a minute. We have to go the whole way. See how much I'm scrolling? June 30th was Brad Sweet's last win, but he's just been so consistent getting seconds and thirds that he has just a great points lead right now. And this guy's having the year of his lifetime. Logan Schuchart gets the win on Labor Day. The Labor Day Classic at Grays Harbor, also win by Logan Schuchart. Just great racing, back and forth, all night long. Logan Schuchart, Rico, Donnie Schatz, everybody had just such a strong night right there. And now looking at the standings now, let's check this out. Brad Sweet has extended his lead to 82 points. And with Logan Schuchart still getting these wins, he still has not come any closer to him. David Gravel has assumed second place again. Carson Macedo is still third, but Brad Sweet is starting to run away with his championship. Seems to be a habit of that. If he wins this, it looks like it'll be his fifth in a row, his fifth championship in a row. So we'll see what happens there. But you know what time it is? Time to go into our power rankings. All right, the World of Outlaw power rankings. All right, see what my 5 were last week. Here are my 5 this week. Let's go through it a little bit. Dropping down to number 5. Just not a lot of great consistent racing out of him, but I'm sure he'll bounce back. He's been known to do that. Carson Macedo is at number 5. Number 4, I've got the guy that's in second place in the standings right now, David Gravel at number 4. And number 3, I've got Logan Schuchart, the winner on Labor Day, the $1 Million Man himself. Number 2, this guy has been fast and consistent. I think it's a little too late to make a run at the championship, but right now, with the power rankings how they go, I have Donnie Schatz at number 2. And number 1, keeping his position, not really going anywhere. Probably don't expect him to drop out of the top anytime soon. The Big Cat, Brad Sweet at number 1. All right, NASCAR power rankings. They are on the screen right now. You can tell it's a little bit of a shakeup, isn't it? Let's go through it. Well, as you can see, there's somebody that's not in my top 5 anymore. You end up having bad luck, and everybody around you stays consistent and knocks off wins. They're going to pass you in it. Denny Hamlin drops out of my top 5 right now. And if there were a top 10, obviously he would be right there. But at number 5 right now, the winner of the Southern 500, he moves back into my top 5 power rankings, Kyle Larson. Moving up to number 4, jumping from number 5 last week, Brad Keselowski, another consistent run of the Southern 500, and he just keeps building momentum with that team. Number 3, dropping down, did not have a great run at the Southern 500 at all, Martin Truex Jr. I did not know I didn't think he was ever going to drop out of the top spot, but he drops down number 3 this week on the power rankings. Number 2, William Byron, another top 5, very fast at the Southern 500. One of the favorites to go into Kansas and get the win. And number 1, I never in a million years would have had this guy go at number 1. Never would have thought of it, but good for you. Chris Buescher, number 1 this week, going into Kansas. All right. Well, power rankings are done. We recapped all the action this week. You know what time it is? It's time for Crew Chief Corner. And as always, Crew Chief Corner is brought to you by Lickety Lou's All-Purpose Booyah Sauce. This is the original. They got spicy and yellow as well. Check them out at LicketyLoose.com, but now they're on Amazon, so check it out in the description down below. Order you some, if you have Prime, 2-day delivery. Can't get any easier than that. Go get that stuff. All right, let's get on with it. Let's get Crew Chief Corner. Let's dial up my dad, Jeff Brown.
All right, Dad, another week. Here we are. This is Tuscarora 50 week. This is the big race that we've been anticipating for a while. It's this and the National Open up in Pennsylvania, and that's really the big highlights of the year for us that we're really looking forward to. And the All-Stars invade Pennsylvania coming for the Tuscarora. They moved it from a 2-night event to a 3-night event for the last couple years now, and I think that's made a tremendous upgrade to it.
Yeah, it makes it a whole special thing. You got the fair going on at Port Royal, which everybody make sure you go to. I don't remember the name. It's a church or the Lions Club or something. Got great roast turkey meals. Food's great up there. You got some rides, but it's a whole week event. It pays the 54th year, pays $54,000 to win, which is like the 4th or 5th biggest sprint car race. in the country, which is pretty awesome for for Port Royal. Port Royal's come a long way, and in a short amount of years, the last 10 years or so, it probably is the nicest facility in Pennsylvania. The surface is usually good. It's usually racy, multiple grooves. You can bang it off the wall or run it tight in the bottom. So 3-night show and the All Stars, I think it's a great fit for everybody. The All Stars like coming into racing against Pennsylvania cars, and I think we're going to have. I think you're going to see a lot of cars. You're going to see the cars that normally run Lincoln Speedway going to be up there try to win that race. So it's going to be a good night. Interesting thing on the format: nights 1 and 2 are regular All Star shows. Night 3 is a special format. 47 cars or less. It's 4 heats, top 2 to the redraw. 48 or more cars, 6 heat races. Winners go to the redraw. If the Thursday and Friday night winners have not been qualified, they are automatically locked into starting positions 19 and 20 for Saturday night.
Okay. Yeah, definitely a unique format. I know a lot of people were kind of curious how that was all going to work. I am willing to bet there's going to be more than 48 cars at this thing. I'd be willing to bet there's at least 50 cars coming in, and I know they just had a kind of a prequel to the Tuscarora, the Labor Day Bash, wherever they call it, just kind of a little warm up for some of the teams that decided to race it. I know Tyler Courtney was racing in it. Dylan Cisney comes out with the big win out there, and he's the mayor, so that's kind of fitting.
Yeah, unfortunately, not a whole lot carries over. It's a day race on Labor Day. It's usually super, super slick. So the track's going to be completely different come Thursday night. You're going to see a lot faster track. I think as the race goes on, it's going to get pretty slick for the 50 laps. A lot of times rubber starts getting down, so the first one can usually find that groove. But like last year, Anthony Macri started 19th, I think, and came up and won the Tuscarora 50. So you can pass cars there.
Well, it's about buying time too. So I mean, it's a long race, and they do stop halfway, I believe, right?
Yeah, they stop halfway. I don't believe you're allowed to change tires like you were at Knoxville.
You could just work on the car otherwise.
Yeah, I think you can do anything but change tires.
Looking at the weather right now, it's 50-50 right now is what it's showing for the 3 days. So hopefully Mother Nature will hold off. It can rain in the morning. That's fine. Do it all you want in the morning. Just make sure nighttime it's not. So at least get Saturday in. That's the big day. That's the big payout day. Do you know what the purse is for the other 2 days?
I do not know. I'm not sure what the regular All-Star shows pay. $8,000
I think usually around 8. So I bet it's around that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you can come home with there's lap money and everything else. You could come home, you sweep the weekend, you can come home with $70,000.
Well, and I believe all the other tracks are going to be off this week because they want those drivers to come to this. Yeah. So you'll have the regulars from Lincoln, regulars from Williams Grove that don't venture out too much, and even Sealands Grove regulars. Everybody's going to come into this.
We're getting to the end of the year, so everybody's going to give it one last shot, before starting to get ready to put things away for the season.
This and the National Open, the last 2 races to get your big money up there. 3 nights. Just have you won a Tuscarora 50?
No, I was helping Dad and Donnie one night a little bit, and Donnie won. I don't consider that me winning Tuscarora 50. Just me in general. I haven't won any in Port Royal.
I know you never really raced at Port with any drivers.
We did with Craig for a while, but and then we switched to Sealands Grove.
And I think this event's just gotten bigger and bigger every year. I know, and Pop's won this plenty of times, and under that halfway point, he's been known to make huge adjustments that just something clicks, and the second half is completely different than the first.
Yep, a lot of times, don't give Dad a second chance. If he's off a little bit the first time, he can he works that magic wrench and can get that thing rolling. And don't think some of it's not, the driver sees Dad out there cranking some wrenches. Don't think that driver's like, oh shit, let's let's put the foot down a little harder too. And
he might not be making a whole lot of adjustment. He probably does that psychologically. He's done this.
It's been known to happen.
Yes, and you know that from experience too. This will be Logan Wagner's first racing for the Tuscarora 50 in the 69K. So we'll definitely see how that is. Lance is running in the 39M, and then Anthony Macari's coming in the 71. So a lot of just drama in the racing world happening for this Tuscarora 50 for sure.
But the fans are still all pissing and moaning over the whole deal between Lance and Donnie and Logan Wagner and Macri and you know what, it's racing goes on. Sometimes you have to do what you think is best for your race team, and sometimes change is good for everyone.
That, and there's things we'll never know what happened behind the scenes, and nobody needs to actually speculate because unless somebody comes out that's involved with it, says something, nobody knows what's going on.
None of our business. I don't know. Dad don't know. So we'll leave it at that, and
I mean, and Lance has said it before. He's like, I've been on plenty of different race teams before. I mean, he's like, this isn't a first that I've had to
right. Exactly. It's Lance is a good guy. Raced with Lance for just years and years and years. Yeah. He's always been very very nice guy, very cordial, very friendly. No matter racing against him or with him, he's the same guy. So it's just best of luck to everybody.
Yeah, it's racing. It's a part of racing. Unless you own your own equipment, you're not gonna stay in the same car forever. It just doesn't happen. I mean, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, just look at Lance's whatever they have, the tribute shirt or whatever. It's got about
they have a bunch of them
cars on the back, so it's it's just how it goes.
And Donnie stayed in the same car because that was his car. That's the only reason he's ever stayed.
Yeah, he hasn't driven for anybody else, so that's it.
Yeah. Well, there's 3 nights, and I'm sure you can carry stuff over for each night, but the track is going to change, especially Mother Nature plays a factor into it. And I hope it actually does a little bit, because that always makes it seem like it ends up being a very racy track when it rains during the day. Three different races. I believe they're 25, then the 50, if I'm not mistaken.
I would say that's correct.
And All Stars invading. So I guess let's get to it. Let's get to our picks and see if either of us has the posse coming away with any of these wins. So go ahead with your night 1 pick for. Actually, just do night 1. We'll go through them all.
Okay. Well, I don't have the All Stars winning any of them.
Okay. Well, so who's night 1? We'll each do.
Dad's going to work his magic. I got Logan Wagner winning night 1.
Okay. I don't have Logan winning night 1. I don't know how concerned they will be about night 1 winning that race, and I actually don't really have. I thought about possibly Macri, but I don't think that car is very, very fast. I do have an All-Star for night 1. I'm going with Kerry Madsen for night 1.
Okay.
All right, night 2, the night before the Tuscarora. They really worked hard on that name.
Yeah. He came from 19th last year. I know it's a different car. Nobody can run that wall like Anthony Macri can. Macri wins it in the 71, night 2.
Well, night 2, I'm going with a driver that's won the Tuscarora a bunch of times. He's the second all-time winningest driver at Port Royal. No one can run the bottom like him. Going with the 39M driver, not Anthony Macri, Lance DeWeese. And for the big event.
Okay. This one was a tough one. I mean, you can pick about anybody, and I'm sure this guy's going to be here. We're going to consider him posse, but he's not a full-time posse. So I got Brent Marks picking up the 54,000 on the Tuscarora 50.
He's going to be there. There's no, unless he gets sick or something, he'll be at the race. All right. Well, I hope I don't jinx it. Last time I picked this car, the driver got fired. This guy is a track champion. He knows how to get around the track. He's gotten used to this equipment. He knows how to run this car now. Pop's won this tons of times. He knows how to wrench that car to get it right for this. Logan Wagner for the Tuscarora 50.
That would be that'd be a big win for Logan.
I don't know if he's won it before or not.
I don't know if he did or not.
He's won a bunch there. He's just I don't know if he's won the Tuscarora. He knows how to get around there though, for sure. Yeah, I've got one All-Star winning it, but this is definitely probably the hardest week for the All-Stars going in for consecutive races because they don't race high-tier drivers like the PA Posse. Ohio, they're just not as talented.
They don't race a whole lot of these big, fast tracks either. Midway, most of the stuff's 3/8. Port's a big, fast half mile.
And
they're hauling around Port Royal.
Another driver to definitely keep an eye on, though, and he's one of the best at half miles for the All-Stars, is Zeb Wise. He's been very good on him.
Sure.
So, and you can never count him out, can never count Tyler out either. So
there's a bunch. Devin Borden's been very fast in the last few races at Port Royal. He's not afraid to stick her up on the fence.
Yeah, that would be.
I tell you what, I think it's going to be a very good race. I really do.
It'll be interesting. I think it'll be a lot of cars, and I think it's always good for that track. And I enjoy that track. Seeing it on Flow is +2. And if anybody hasn't seen, I'll put it in the link down below if you want to get a preview of the track, what the kind of behind the scenes are. Justin Snyder is part of the PR team there, and he kind of sends out everything on the social media platform. So I had a conversation with him a few months back, and we kind of previewed a little bit of Tuscarora 50, talked about everything. So I'll put that down below. Sticking on dirt, moving to the World of Outlaws. So you're going from the East Coast the whole way to the West Coast. Outlaws are a 3-night event at Silver Dollar Speedway.
Yeah, it's in Chico, California. High bank, quarter mile dirt oval. Neat little track. The sprint cars, they get around that track quick. And you were saying Kyle Larson is part owner of that track. I have in my notes. I wonder if he's racing. He did last year. I don't know how much, if he's going to be able to run all 3 nights. Being that he's locked into the next round, there's a very good chance he is running.
He might have a little more leeway from Rick Hendrick to race.
Yeah, for sure. So just because I'm not 100% sure, I didn't pick him any.
Yeah.
But he could easily throw a monkey wrench into any of our picks this weekend, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm guessing this is where the first 2 nights are a smaller race, and then Saturday is the big purse, I would assume.
Yeah, I didn't Port Royal. They had a really neat write-up on the whole format, and I didn't see anything on as far as Silver Dollar, I don't know if it's points accumulated first couple nights or if it's just, I think it's just a 3 separate night show. I don't think anything carries over from one night to the next.
Well, the Outlaws have put on another great week of showings.
It's been great racing with those guys.
Yeah, and All-Stars really have been good too, but there's a lot. What's the word I'm looking for? Not diversity, but there's a lot more drivers that are in contention to win these Outlaw races. It seems like there's 2 or 3 in the All-Stars, but
yeah, exactly.
And Logan Schuchart is having himself a career year.
If he'd been able to run the first half of the year like he's been able to run the second half of the year, he'd be right up in there in points.
Yeah, and Brad Sweet's slowly creeping away with it once again.
I think Brad Sweet's probably, unless he has a lot of trouble, I think he's probably got it sewed up. It almost seems like Gravel's trying too hard.
Yeah, he fell off,
making some mistakes and getting some issues.
And Macedo, he just hasn't been able to keep up with Brad either. I think if Brad wins it, this is 5 in a row.
Yeah, he doing 4 in a row.
I don't even know what the streak is. I would assume Steve Kinzer probably is the streak of how many.
Yeah, Kinzer or Shots.
Yeah.
I don't think Shots. I'm going to say Kinzer then Shots.
Yeah, if I had to guess how many in a row. But, it's still been just awesome racing. And Silver Dollar is that's small track. I remember racing it on the first World of Outlaw game, and I could never freaking figure that track out. I'd always fly off the track. There's no fence, well, at least on the corners and everything. And I think it's just a cool little track.
Yeah, it's neat. You're gonna have to be fast on the top. You're gonna have to slide job guys get by on them. You're going to have to abuse up the lap cars. Especially if you're leading, you got to abuse those guys. You can't hesitate because you could be a half a straightaway ahead and it might be 100 feet, and all of a sudden they're on you.
Yeah.
One little bobble, and they're right on top. Especially the outlaw guys. Those guys run that thing so hard. It don't matter big track, little track. They aren't backing off for nobody.
Yeah. Well, 3-night event and on the West Coast here with the Outlaws at Silver Dollar. So night one, who are we going with?
Well, I'd say he's probably been the hottest guy the last little bit. So I got Logan Schuchart winning night one.
I'm going with the big cat, Brad Sweet for night one. Races these small tracks very well. He races all the tracks very well. He's a good driver. And I wouldn't be surprised if his car owner is mixing it up too, because Casey's been really fast lately, and he's been on these shorter tracks. He's been very good this year at.
Casey's been running very well. I was really shocked to see that Casey's only ever had one podium with the Outlaws, and that's a third place, I think, this year, last year. I didn't realize he'd never won an outlaw race. That's quite shocking. He's such a good driver.
Yeah. Night two.
All right, this guy's also been running real good here lately, and he'll wheel her with the best of them. So I got Sheldon Haudenschild, night two.
He's probably has like the Kyle Larson luck, is what I'm seeing.
It sure seems like he's fast, and then runs over the tire on the inside or spins out or something happens.
The amazing thing is when I think this last race he had in all these races you see this happen, the broken front axle, and they just replaced the entire front end in like 2 minutes. It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast those guys can do it. My brain don't work that quick.
But night two, I'm going with Carson Macedo. And night three, and I assume this is the big purse night.
This is the big night. So we're gonna stick with the West Coast guy. You got him winning night one. I got him winning night three. Brad Sweet.
I'm going with the West Coast guy. He's not an outlaw, but I know for dang sure he's got to be racing this track. Rico Abreu for the big night.
That I was trying to figure out where I could fit him in.
I know he's got to be racing. He raced the other races. He's
from out there for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's a home.
Like I said, Larson shows up. He could put a spoiler to any of us there. So. Yeah,
Larson Rico might be mixing it up for the win. So hopefully he does, and it'll definitely add a lot of excitement to it. And he's kind of safe when it comes to NASCAR, even though sure he wants to get some wins knocked off, get some bonus points going in the next rounds, but he's at least safe for the Kansas. And going on into, I think it is time for NASCAR. I think that's the only other ones we're missing, just the 3 series. Yep. Because IndyCar, the championship is done. Alex Palou, I talked about earlier, is the champion. So don't really need to talk about IndyCar too much more. They finish off here, I believe this week or next week. And but I was hoping it would come down to Scott Dixon and him for the final race. But Alex Palou,
congratulations to him. He's probably been the fastest, most consistent car all year for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. But Kansas is this is the second time cars. I think it's the first time the trucks are coming to Kansas. All 3 series, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup. Trucks are actually Friday night, so a little bit different.
8 p.m. That's probably Central Time, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so it's probably 8 o'clock here, and green flag around 9, something like that. But it'll be interesting. Definitely different type of track when it's nighttime to daytime.
Yeah, it's one of they call them the cookie cutter 1.5-mile tracks, but they all kind of race different. They all got their own unique characteristics. It usually puts on a pretty good race with all 3 series. Trucks probably gonna be a lot of crashes, so it's how that goes. Whoever survives that one's probably gonna win. So is this second round of playoffs for the trucks?
No, this is the final of the first.
Okay. I didn't mean second round.
They had IRP, the Milwaukee Mile, and this.
Okay.
And I think that goes to the round of 8 next.
I think they only start with 12.
Yeah. Kansas fun track. I don't know why this one races so well compared to a lot of these 1.5 miles. I don't know what it is exactly because, like you said, it is like a cookie cutter. especially the Cup cars. These cars are very good on the mile and a half, minus Texas, but that's just Texas. But they put on great races, and the Truck Series, you'll see if there are cautions, it's going to be cautions breeding cautions, quite literally. The restarts are going to be crazy. That's the best time to make up spots at these, and they're going to get desperate. It is the last race of the first round. And this is actually the last race of the regular season for no. Is it the last race of the Xfinity? I think it is the last. Yeah, last race for Xfinity, and then Bristol's the first race of the next round.
Okay.
It's confusing.
It's very confusing. They're all different.
Yeah, and then certain ones will be off in the next round. Yeah. But desperation time. This is where mistakes are going to happen, and especially for young drivers in the Xfinity and the Truck Series. So going into Kansas for the Truck Series. Again, there's probably a handful of drivers, and I had a hard time figuring out who I wanted for this, because I think it's still going to be a playoff driver, but there's like 2 or 3 that I'm like, should I pick them or not? Because usually,
I know it's hard to pick. Like I said, it's whoever seemed to.
Well, who's your truck pick for Friday night?
I picked Grant Enfinger.
And he won. He's already locked in. So he'll take some chances for sure if it comes to a fuel mileage race, and why not try to get those bonus points? Exactly. I'm going with a driver that's probably one of the top 3 drivers in the Truck Series right now, and likely going to get a Cup ride if he keeps it up. Carson Hocevar.
Yeah, you know what he's been doing for filling in, and
he got 17th
for 2 starts. He's had 2 top 20 finishes or something like that. He's done very well.
Yeah, he got 17th at Darlington, and to go through the Southern 500, first time ever racing that, and in a Cup car, that's impressive.
Yeah, I think he does better in the Cup cars than he has been in the trucks, to be quite honest.
No, I mean he's won truck races. But
well, I mean, just considering
he keeps it clean, and we talked about it earlier. There's a switch in the middle of the season, and he's kind of changed his mindset going into these races. And
I don't know if he heard everything that went on with Ross Chastain, and maybe all of a sudden he kind of got the oh shit, maybe that's not how to do this type message, and just something. Yeah, he's definitely been racing smarter and a lot better.
Well, that's the only series where the Toyotas aren't the fastest almost each week, it seems. It's a little bit of between Chevys and Fords, it seems like, in the Truck Series. But going into Xfinity, Saturday afternoon, like I said, I believe this is the last race before the playoffs start. Who do you got?
You were saying about Toyotas being fast, and especially in Xfinity, the Gibbs cars are really, really hard to beat. Those things are just too fast. So I got John Hunter Nemechek.
Yeah, I got him too. Just Toyotas, John Hunter, he's just a better driver than a lot of these guys, and those things are just bad fast on these mile and a halves. I don't need to even say more. that is it. All right, the big race, the second round of the Cup playoffs. One driver's already locked into the round of 12. So happy about that. I talked about that earlier. I've been waiting a long time for him to win the damn Southern 500, so that was cool to see. But going into Kansas, I mean, he's definitely a contender going into Kansas. The Hendricks, Byron and him definitely are contenders, and then all the Toyotas. So kind of pick, and then you got RFK. You can't count them out. They're the most consistent team.
Especially Chris Buescher. He's just been. It was funny though seeing the post race. You got Larson. He's 5 foot nothing, and Tyler Reddick's 5 foot nothing. Here's Chris Buescher. He looks like he's about 6 foot compared to.
Yeah,
he's a lot bigger of a guy than his. And then the first two, it was just kind of funny just seeing how that went. The first two look like they're little kids.
Yeah, this will be interesting for sure. I think another playoff driver locks into the next round. I think it'll be a different playoff driver. I don't think Larson's going to go for this one. But who's your pick for Kansas on Sunday?
I got the other Kyle Busch. So we got Kyle squared into the next round.
They're starting to shoot themselves in the foot quite often right now and having some bad luck. That was
He's been fast.
yeah. He's got to make he's got to break through sooner or later.
Yeah.
And I mean he was really fast at Darlington. It started basically last, and I think he ended up with the top 10 if I'm not mistaken. But I'm going with Toyota once again. This guy won Kansas earlier this year. I'm going with Denny Hamlin.
Okay, and Mom's pick, she got William Byron.
I definitely see that. Yep. And I think after this, there'll probably a third or possibly fourth driver locked in just based on points as well, going into Bristol. So that'll be it could be Truex likely. Truex or Byron with their bonus points and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be interesting for sure. Excited for it. Southern 500 was awesome. It was a little bit of a snoozer earlier, but once that transitioned to nighttime, actually it was really after that halfway break after the lights turned off and I guess they paid their power bill, and it just got really racy. So I'm looking forward to Kansas. I wish this Kansas race were a nighttime. I wish Xfinity and Cup were Saturday, a doubleheader. I've been saying that for a bunch of races that they need to do. I mean, yeah, my voice is going to get heard from NASCAR to change that.
Yeah.
But I think
especially since it's a 400-miler, start at 5, 6 o'clock or whatever. That way you get. It's so neat when it goes through the transition. It makes it. You got to keep up with that car, the whole deal. And it's not over so late. It started at 6. You're over by 9, 10 o'clock for generally 400 miles.
Yeah.
2 o'clock it's going to be beaten down, hot, sunny. I don't know. It's neat seeing those cars under the lights. It just it looks so cool.
Yeah, for sure. Well, like I said, we talked about the Tuscarora 50. That's the biggest race this week in my eyes, and obviously NASCAR enthusiasts they're excited for the playoffs to continue this week. And next week at Bristol, that's when shit's gonna get crazy. And if you go to a must-win the Bristol, just kind of like you go to must-win with Daytona, it's going to be pretty insane. So that'll be fun to preview next week. But if you guys like this, got any questions, comment down below. Go ahead, follow anywhere you get your podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you'll see a bunch of this stuff come out and get notifications. Yeah, Dad, until next week, we'll preview Bristol and another good week of racing.
The night race at Bristol. Looking forward to it.
All right,
bye,
see
everybody.
you then.